What up, everybody? Fucking. How you guys doing? Wish you can. Hey, Tommy, I've been fighting people all day over you. Why? What's going on? What happened now? It's always something, Just ignore them. Ignore the trolls. Ignore the trolls. God damn it. God dang it. What the hell? Why is it so damn big? Hope you guys are having a good day. Losers on X and Cly on Zach X chat. Yeah, I was in Zach X chat for a minute. Did you guys see this Senate hearing with Anthony Fauci? I haven't watched the videos yet, but we're going to watch them together. We're having a non-crash out Wednesday. Yeah, crash outs aren't fun. I don't like to crash out all the time. That shit was a joke. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it for the first time right now. So we'll 3 hours of him pleading the fifth. Man, I'm not watching the whole 3 hours. I'm just gonna watch these clips. We'll watch a few different videos from the news and stuff like that. Yeah, Fauci should be in jail. I absolutely agree. You know, I was looking at, I was on X, and there's a bunch of different spaces happening right now. And it all has to do with Fauci. A ton of them do. Most of them do.
And it was a very nice thing they did, but what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Part of the problem is...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Fauci lined his pocket. He is a traitor, that's for sure. He ruined a whole generation. You know, he was a big reason why we were all locked down. Kids couldn't go to school. The elderly couldn't be with each other in their last moments. It's really sad. I'm good. I'm doing pretty good today. My voice is gone. My voice is the amount of info dump in the opening statement will blow your mind. Maybe we should watch the opening statement. I want to watch Howley, Senator Howley. I want to watch this first because this is the one that caught my attention.
Well,
Howley
says
is great.
Taking
This senator is great, bro. He shuts motherfuckers down. This senator, yeah, this senator is great. All right, let's see. Let's hear what he has to say. Without further ado.
5th, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon...
Look at the fucking smirk on Fauci's face. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing, bro. Look at the smirk on his face.
On my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know.
All right. Time to take a poll on whether you think ground invasion. Well, I can't do a poll on this thing. Maybe when more people come in, I'll do it. Let's watch this for a minute.
As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you?
Yep.
You got rich.
Did.
While people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich.
Patriots
and not
United,
only were you
yes.
doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my
The
rights
lawyer
under
gets
the
kicked
Fifth
out?
Amendment to the Constitution.
Wow.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully
What
decline
a
to
piece
answer
of
based
shit,
upon my rights
bro.
under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Uh-huh. She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your
shout out to
behalf,
MDG Gammon.
soliciting and gathering
Thank you for the
information
raid,
for a
bro.
cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Volker says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service, you've got the Adelson Prize, you've got the Smithsonian Award, you've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award, you've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon
What
my
a
rights
fuck-
under the Fifth Amendment to the
Bro.
Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards.
He needs
you
to
then
be
had them go out
arrested,
to the
bro.
ethics
He's a
agencies
traitor.
and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you. And then they're turning around and saying to the agency, we don't want just an answer, we want to get to yes. Because Fauci wants the money. He wants it. We want to get to yes, and yes takes time. This is your chief of staff again, using federal email to pressure the agency's own
This guy always brings the receipts.
ethics people so that you could get money, so that you could get rich. And it violated the law, didn't it, Dr. Fauci? Didn't it? It violated the law, didn't it?
Thank you, Rufo.
It is a question. You can answer. Go ahead.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully
What a
decline to
fucking
answer based upon my
skis
rights under the
bucket,
Fifth
bro.
Amendment to the Constitution.
Federal law, as you very well know, prohibits the solicitation of cash awards or other personal benefits for federal employees. And it certainly prohibits using your own employees to do this. 5 CFR section 2635-205B. It says it right there in black and white. You cannot use federal resources, federal dollars, federal employees, federal offices, federal email, federal time to solicit cash awards, and you did all of it. And the worst part is thousands of people were dying while you were doing it. You were supposed to be the nation's doctor, and you're playing one on TV, but this is what you were doing with your time. Isn't that true?
He's not going to answer.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
How many?
Yeah.
Does anybody know how many times this motherfucker pled the Fifth during this entire hearing? It seems like it's if he says it this often within 7 minutes, he probably said this shit like what 300, 400, 500 times.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see why. I can certainly see why. You know what I can't quite figure out is that why you were so obsessed with it, because you're already rich.
110
I mean, and your
times.
scheme worked here.
Holy
I mean, your net worth now is
shit.
north of $12 million. You got over $1 million in cash awards during COVID, during a 12-month, 24-month span during COVID. $1 million you knocked down in cash money using federal resources. Now you're worth more than $12 million. You've got a pension that in its first year paid out north of $400,000 a year. 1 million people dead, you're getting rich. 1 million people dead, you're using federal employees to get cash awards for you. 1 million people dead, and you're here taking the Fifth because you don't want to admit that what really happened in all that time was a multi-month, multi-year course of self-dealing. Isn't that true, Dr. Fauci?
On the advice of counsel,
I can't count to
respectfully decline to answer
111.
based
I can
upon my
only count
rights
to
under the
110.
Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah, well, silence is admission. And here's the real thing. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money, really, was it? It was really about a power trip. I mean, through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, all because you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be the sun god of science. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted to lambast Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be the guy. You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards. But now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time, I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my life.
The most traitorous.
And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
Fucking traitor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Traitor.
Senator Fetterman.
I will echo Senator Johnson's comments about your opening statement, Mr. Chairman. I think it was dead on. Very, very well done. Mr. Fauci, do you know who David Schertler is?
Dr. Fauci, your testimony today is compelled by a lawful subpoena. As you know, it's a
yeah, let's do this.
crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 to knowingly make a material false statement to Congress with a penalty up to 5 years of imprisonment. Understanding that you are under oath.
So because he knows he's under oath, and he knows he's a fraud, and he knows he's responsible for millions and millions of dollars of fraud, and bro, he's not gonna say a fucking thing. He's not gonna say a fucking thing.
The American people would like to understand your reasoning, your rationale for why you chose to fund the research in Wuhan. There have been, intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the DOE, have all come to the conclusion that more likely than not, the virus came from the lab in Wuhan. And so we'd like to know what was the rationale, what was the discussion, how, what went behind the decision to fund the research in Wuhan. How did you come to the conclusion that a totalitarian country would be capable of doing this in a BSL-2 lab, a lab that lacked the security? What was the reasoning, and are you sorry basically for making the decision? Would you, given another chance, say, well, gosh, circumstances now as I know it, maybe it wasn't a wise thing. Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Bro, what's the point of even having these hearings if these fucking idiots won't even answer questions?
In the red folder on your table is a copy of Section 192 of Title II of the U.S. Code. Your counsel has been provided a copy as well. That section makes it a crime for a witness appearing under subpoena to refuse to answer any questions pertinent to the question under inquiry. Do you have that in front of you?
On the advice of counsel,
Monster,
I respectfully
exactly.
decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the
The
witness
purpose
has
is still
refused
to
to
get
answer
out the
whether there's a
information.
folder in
Yeah.
front of him based on his Fifth Amendment right. It is true that you're appearing under direction of our subpoena to provide testimony on matters under consideration by the committee, including the origins of COVID-19, risky life sciences research, and your tenure as a federal government employee. Additionally, you've been provided a full and unconditional pardon dated January 19th, 2025, for any offenses against the United States which may have been committed or taken part from January 1st, 2014 through the date of the pardon.
Why the fuck did he need a pardon? Why did he need a pardon?
Arising from or in any manner related to your service as Director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, or the White House COVID-19 Response Team, or as Chief Medical Advisor to the President. Have you refused this pardon, or do you have any reason to believe this full and unconditional pardon, this grant of immunity?
Yeah, pardoned
would
by the
somehow
fraud pen,
require
exactly.
you to plead the Fifth Amendment?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Based on the facts presented, I'm going to direct you to answer the questions. The committee has issued a valid subpoena. They've requested your presence here. The questions are very pertinent to your decision-making as head of NIAID, as well as a chief advisor.
Trump needs to revoke that pardon from the auto pen. Yeah, no, that shit needs to be yoinked.
To the president. Do you still refuse to answer the questions?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon
He has
my
to
rights
read
under the
it
Fifth
every time
Amendment
he
of the
says it.
Constitution.
He has to read it off of the paper every time he says it. That's how fucking pathetic he is.
Dr. Fauci, were you ever made aware of gain-of-function research on monkeypox being conducted at the National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center and back?
That's fine, Joe. You don't have to agree.
On the advice of counsel, I
don't you agree
respectfully
with?
decline to answer.
So you agree with him being able to plead the Fifth on every single question they ask him? You agree that it's okay that he got a pardon for God knows what from 2017 on? You don't think that that's a problem? Why would he need a pardon if what he did was nothing wrong? I don't understand that.
Based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Rufo,
Dr.
thank you
Fauci,
for the
did
membership,
CIA
bro. Welcome to
ever
the
transfer
Patriots.
funds to NIH under an interagency agreement?
No, Climatics isn't gay.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Questions. Dr. Fauci, did the NIH ever conduct
Yeah,
research
but if it was
for
Tahiti, but if it was done with the auto pen, that should make it void. Like everything that was signed by Joe fucking Biden was auto pen, and it should all be voided.
or in coordination with any element of the intelligence community, CIA, ODNI?
No, charge them federally. No.
On the advice
no.
of counsel, I
Not
respectfully
on the
decline
state
to
level,
answer
on the
based
federal
upon my
level, he
rights
needs to be
under the
charged.
Fifth Amendment
But
of
of
the
course they'll get
Constitution.
the evidence.
The reason why these questions are important.
What the fuck is my dog barking at, dude? Fucking stupid. It's just the neighbors, man. Fuck. She's a psychopath.
Important is, President Trump has done a ban, and we're glad that he did a ban on gain-of-function research. So we're better off than we were when we had an advocate serving as head of NIAID, an advocate for gain-of-function research. There is still, though, a question, though, whether or not the intelligence community is adhering to that order. There's a question of whether or not gain-of-function research is still ongoing. And these are important questions the American people deserve to know. Dr. Fauci, have you been read into any classified Department of Homeland Security program, any prospective special access program concerning gain-of-function research?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth
It feels
Amendment
like
of the
this country's
Constitution.
getting closer and closer to civil war. It honestly
When we look at
does.
the research in China the gain-of-function research that you've denied was gain-of-function. One of the things that startled the scientists when they saw COVID
Yeah, I
for the
know.
first couple
She's
of
being
weeks was when they looked
protectful.
at the sequence of
And I
it,
like that.
they said, oh my
She's
God, there's
annoying
a
sometimes.
furin cleavage site in it. And in this particular family of coronaviruses, the sarbecoviruses, they'd never seen this before. They were also startled to look at it and see how it was coded for, what the codons were, and to discover that the codons used out of 36 different possibilities turned out to be the one that was commonly used in gene manipulation by scientists. Dr. Fauci, were the scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology capable of inserting a furin cleavage site into a coronavirus?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Scumbag.
So one of the experiments that was pretty common was they would take the backbone of a SARS virus, and this would be a SARS virus that the backbone itself wasn't that dangerous, but then they would dig through guano, 300 feet underground, bat guano. They'd find other viruses, unknown viruses. They'd take the S protein off of an unknown virus and stick it on a backbone. And then they would infect mice that have humanized cells. And they were trying to discover if they could create a virus that infects humans. Now, many people would say, well, gosh, that doesn't sound like a really good idea to create viruses that don't exist in nature to see if they'll infect human cells. What if one escaped? What if you keep infecting this and do serial passage, you actually adapt the virus to be infectious to humans? So the question is whether or not Dr. Fauci, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, was combining an S protein with one virus with the backbone of others.
Yeah, I
And
don't
could
think
this
there'll be
lead
a
to
draft either,
virus?
honestly.
Maybe it wasn't even predicted, but could it lead to viruses that gained in function and then could lead to a pandemic?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer
I
based
don't-
upon my rights
I don't
under the
even
Fifth
want-
Amendment of the Constitution.
Troops on the ground
One of
in
the
Iran.
arguments
I
that
don't
you
agree
and
with
others
that.
have made against this virus coming from the lab.
I don't agree with sending our soldiers to Iran in any kind of way. Like, no ground troops to Iran. That's my opinion.
Is it couldn't have come from the viruses that have been published. And
Don't put
nobody's really arguing
American
that. I think from the
soldiers
very
at
beginning,
risk.
people acknowledged that the viruses that have been published are too far evolutionarily distant from a virus that could have become COVID-19. But what has never been acknowledged by the side who tries to call the other side a conspiracy theory, which is really something you don't usually see in a scientific debate. This is the first time I've ever seen an article printed in Lancet by your friends who called this a conspiracy theory. You know, these are the kind of things you see as a screed on a political, website. You don't really see this in science.
Yeah, Papa
But
Hawk,
when
I agree.
release this as being a conspiracy theory, we're wondering that when you do this, when you combine these viruses and are able to grow them in humanized cells, whether or not this
Fauci
kind of
is an
risky
administrator
research,
somewhere
whether or
that
not whether
draws
you
his
call it
salary
gain
to
of
stay
function or
at
not,
home.
whether you use the
He
definition of
hasn't
gain
done
of
research
function,
in 40
whether
years.
this kind of
Exactly.
research should have had more scrutiny. I think in your House testimony, you testified that you never traveled to China and that you were unaware that
Trump is gonna drop Wider Mike like a bunker buster and finish it. That was funny, bro. Oh, Fauci's not even an American citizen? Hold up a minute. Hold on. Fauci's not an American citizen? Oh, hell yeah. Revoke his visa, get him out.
anybody in NIH ever examined the labs, that you trusted the Chinese scientists. I think you said that even recently.
I have 3
that,
masks on because he
with your
said so.
discretion, you trusted the Chinese scientists. The problem is that even in our country, we trust our scientists. They're good American scientists, probably doing the right thing for America. But at the same time, we oversight to make sure it's not
Fauci still draws a pension of over $400,000 a year. Wow. Yes, Dr. Anthony Fauci is an American citizen. He was born in Brooklyn. Oh, okay. So you can't believe everything you see on the internet. He was born in New York City. He's a traitor, but he's an American citizen.
dangerous research, but we also investigate the lab. I believe Fort Detrick is one of our main labs.
This guy is here to meet a 13-year-old boy. That shit was funny, bro. That was pretty funny.
Labs was closed down in the last year or two because of, research institute, a research incident that was dangerous with dangerous pathogens. And so the American people would want to know, how could you approve this dangerous research in China, say that you trusted the Chinese scientists, and then in the end, you had to admit that you'd never been there, and none of your inspectors had ever been there. Dr. Fauci, had any of the labs where this dangerous research was occurring, were any American lab oversight or lab investigators, did they ever appear in these labs to make sure that they were safe labs?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
So one of the main theories for those who have looked at this being created in the lab was the idea that could have come from a virus not previously published. Dr. Fauci, are you aware that Dr. Shi, who worked for the Wuhan Institute of Virology, was said to, and I think in her own words, to have over 100 viruses that had not been previously published that could have been a close enough relative to create COVID-19? Are you aware of that?
Probably fake birth
On the
certificate, probably
advice
born
of
in
counsel, I
Argentina.
respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Under your testimony previously, when you denied ever having funded gain of function in China, it was so adamant as to be striking, to leave no room for any interpretation of what is or isn't gain of function research. But there's another important question. Did you fund gain of function research in other biolabs around the world?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
The one research project that we do know you did fund is the one that Ron Fauci did. And it's important to talk about because this sort of was the beginning of the debate over gain of function. This wasn't just me. I wasn't even aware of the debate 10 years ago. This was other scientists, over 200
Exactly,
scientists
RIP.
at the Cambridge Working Group signed a
Exactly,
protest
Rip.
because they didn't think you should fund the research, and they didn't think it should even be published because it was sort of a roadmap as to how to make a bioweapon. So what they did was the avian flu, and this is important. It may be the most important
I
question
started
I've
off
asked you
taking a shot
today.
every time you plead the
The avian
fifth.
flu has
I
about
am
50%
dead.
mortality for humans. The good news, though, about animal viruses is they don't infect humans very well. It will infect humans, but doesn't go human to human very well. Ron Fauci, with the money that you provided to him, did an experiment where he caused purposeful mutations to create a new virus, an avian flu that didn't just infect birds well, but actually infected mammals well, went ferret to ferret in an aerosolized manner. People saw this and were aghast, at the decision-making process that you decided to fund this. But this is when, the debate came about, and you wrote in support of this in the Washington Post, and you said, even if a scientist is bitten, even if a pandemic should occur, the knowledge is worth the risks. Do you still stand by that? Would you like to qualify at all whether or not the knowledge of gain of function is worth the risks, particularly in this case, since we now know 15 million people died worldwide? Many people believe this came from the lab. Do you think that the risks really are worth the benefits for gain of function?
Yeah, $5
research?
super chat every time he says I
On
plead the
advice of
fifth.
counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based
I would be
upon my
rich
rights
by the end of
under
this
the Fifth
show.
Amendment to the Constitution.
All right. We're going to finish with this question. And it's based really on that statement, that general statement in your support for gain of function. The idea that the benefits outweigh the risk. So there are many other
Chris.
people who disagree. And they aren't politicians or not. I don't know what party they're in. David Relman is probably one of the most esteemed. And he is a scientist at Stanford. He, I think, has classified clearance. He's been a consultant to our government probably for a decade or more. And he's written about this publicly. He says the opposite. He said that the risks of this research do not outweigh the benefits. He said the risks shouldn't do it.
$555, I'd be rich.
Richard Ebright, who's been involved in this debate for 2 decades, says the same thing. Says we really shouldn't be doing this at all. There's a quote also by Kevin.
Look at that traitor.
Quote is that at the very end.
They got whole ass billboards of this dude, bro. Loot box. Hey, thank you for the loot box. Let's go. I've never seen one of
Kevin
those.
Esfelt, who's a CRISPR scientist at MIT, also wrote about
Thank
this
you,
gain of
Johnny.
function.
Johnny,
I
you
implore
too.
every scientist, funder,
Thank you, bro.
and nation working in the field, please stop. No more trying to discover or make
Chris
pandemic
Honeycutt, here's
capable
my
viruses.
four. Shout
no
out
more
Honeycutt
experiments
Music.
likely to
Let's
disseminate
go.
blueprints
We
for
love you, Chris.
plagues.
Thank you, bro.
Dr. Fauci, would you like to at least answer this one question for us today and let us know whether or not you've changed your mind on whether or not the benefits of gain of function research outweigh the risks?
Rand Paul's
On
like
the
a dog
advice
with the
of
bone.
counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based
There we go.
upon my
There's
rights
another one.
under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
The chairman has denied your assertion of privilege and directed you to answer, but you nonetheless refuse and stand on privilege despite the existence of the pardon. The
What
committee
the
will
hell
have to
is
consider
wrong with
after
this
this hearing
dude?
what appropriate action should be taken against you for the failure to testify after being directed to do so. It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress. There will be repercussions to your refusal to testify today. Senator Peters. You're not
I
recognized.
spent all my
You're not
jewels on you, so here
recognized.
is me sending you
If
happy
you are
poop.
unruly, you will be removed from the proceeding. You are not recognized, and you are not recognized, sir. Sir, you are not recognized. You are not
Ron
recognized.
Bell, thank you for the happy poop.
Security. We'll hold off, but you will respect these proceedings. You were told not
Yeah,
to
look
sit
at all
at the
those
table. You
camera
insist
people.
on sitting at the table, and we told you you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because
No.
the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
What an idiot.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This
Yep.
is not a game with his lawyers.
He's absolutely
He
fucking
can
right.
advise. His lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right?
He's absolutely fucking right.
But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered.
Respect
For
my
literally
authority.
not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized.
But he's still
sir.
trying to talk.
Security, please remove him from the room.
Get him the fuck out. Good shit. Bye-bye, little boy.
let the record state that Dr. Fauci will still have the advice of the other half a dozen attorneys that he brought along
USA
today.
Cinderella, thank you for the happy
Senator
poop.
Peters. Senator Alling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, where did it go?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. What does the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution say?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
No, I'm just asking you what it says.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I'm going to give the Constitution to my aide. He'll bring it over to you so you can have it for future reference. I think it's something that every American should know what the Constitution says. Do you know who wrote the Fifth Amendment?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
So you're invoking a right that you don't know who wrote it or what it says. Is that correct?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Wow.
Chris had a day.
Well, let me tell you who David Schertler is for the audience.
Member
because,
of the
he was
Patriots.
ejected
Thank
by
you
the
for the
chairman.
membership.
He's a high-profile criminal attorney. He's represented
Don't cry
some
for me,
really great people,
Argentina.
like
Okay, I'm
Senator
done, I
Bob
swear.
Menendez. Maybe that's somebody who my Democrat colleagues
Thank
may
you,
remember
Chris.
took gold bars as bribes from the Egyptians. And there's an article here in the Washington Free Beacon that talks about why you would hire a guy like David Schertler. And the comment is, if you're in deep shit, that's who you call. Do you feel like you're in deep shit?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Clearly, what you think today is that somehow you're above reproach. Somehow you feel like you don't need to be treated like a normal American. Can you do me a favor in the audience and stand up if during the time of the COVID pandemic, you were called a racist for calling the virus a Wuhan virus or the China virus? If you thought the 6-foot rule was total crap, if you thought the vaccine wasn't something that you should take, if you thought it was outrageous the way the mask policy was rolled out, if you were fired from your job for not taking that vaccine, including members of the military, if you thought closing schools was catastrophically stupid,
I pass
and
over
that
the
you
mic
thought
to
that
Rick.
during these times saying
Hey,
these things
PP.
made you
Thank
somehow
you
a
for the
lesser
$5 super
human
chat,
being.
bro. Everybody
Dr.
should have
Fauci, can you
stood
just
up.
turn around and look at the people behind you? You're not willing to do that? That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyer, it's not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them?
What a fucking
That's a
dirtbag,
question.
bro.
Are you able to look at them? You can sit down in the audience.
Oh, he forgot to turn his mic on.
There was a mom in Ohio during the depth of the coronavirus pandemic, decided to go to her high school football game for her son. They hadn't been out much. The kids had been learning at school, and then the school got shut down. They hadn't really gotten much out of that education, as any parent knew. That remote learning was no learning at all. But it was a Friday night. Her son wanted to go watch a buddy go play football. So they went to the stadium. They sat alone far from everybody else, just a mom, a dad, a few kids. They didn't feel they needed to wear masks because it was stupid,
Absolutely.
because they were outside.
Stupid.
They all live together. They're not near anybody. Dr. Fauci, do you know what happened to that mom and that family? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
They were dragged out of that stadium and arrested.
Wow.
Those policies were put in place because you had moronic politicians that listened to the words of a megalomaniac who was more interested in having met a Kardashian
Fauci owes
than
me
the
money
suffering
too,
of the American
CCTV.
people. And that is you. Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic
Patriots United,
politicians
so do
who
I.
enforce those rules, arrested that mom
He should
for
be,
watching a
he
football
should be
game
behind bars.
with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that?
Exactly.
It is a total disgrace what you
He
did to this
knows
country.
what he did.
And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that
He's got SSRIs.
will see that clip over and over and over again.
Fucking nuts, dude.
Because
He does have evil
there is
eyes.
no defense of what you did.
He does have evil eyes.
You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service, but it ends in total and complete disgrace. So let me ask you an opportunity to answer one question. Will you apologize, just apologize, to the people who you harmed through your actions? Will you say, do you have the dignity to just say you're sorry?
Nope.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
So you won't apologize to the military members who Joe Biden summarily dismissed from the military for not taking the vaccine?
On the advice of
If
counsel,
he
I
did
respectfully
nothing
decline-
wrong, then why would he not just answer these fucking questions? Like, that's what gets me. If he did nothing wrong and he didn't do any of this shit that they're saying that he did, then why doesn't he just answer the questions? Why doesn't he just cooperate and be an adult instead of acting like a fucking 10-year-old child?
Decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to the business owners that lost their business, shattered their lives, and they'll never recover?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to the moms who had to force their infant children, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, to put masks
Everybody
on,
like and
and what that
subscribe,
did and how that
please.
traumatized those kids?
Like and subscribe.
Under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize
He's already
the
been
family members
pardoned.
for
Exactly.
the people who died because they took your advice and not only got the first vaccine, but the 5, 6 other boosters that they did not need?
To answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to that mom from Ohio for being arrested for watching a football game with her family?
I know I need to stop smoking cigarettes.
So you didn't know who wrote the Fifth Amendment. It's James Madison. Lived in this town. I can only wonder what he would think of somebody like you invoking his writings to shield culpability for the actions that you took. It's no secret why you have to hire the biggest dirtbag attorney on the planet because of what you did. I hope you're paying him well. And I hope that one way or the other, somewhere, sometime, you answer for your crimes.
Yeah. God, dude, that's so frustrating.
Haitians are always on the right side of history. I don't care what nobody say. So you telling me that ICE came to Brooklyn, specifically Little Haiti, Flatbush, kote all Haitians you leave? I guess ICE was trying to detain the Haitians.
Nope. My wife had to because she's a medical assistant. You know, she's in the medical field, and they would have fired her, but no. I want my money, bitch boy Fauci. Biden had the most votes of any president ever. Yeah, fucking right. The most fraudulent votes.
Over there, and the Haitians were not going for it. I think that people forget that we were the first ones to be freed. My people got a taste of slavery and said, we can't do this. Wrap this up by tonight.
Yeah. I just saw a crazy fucking video. Apparently, ICE agents thought that they was about to come to Brooklyn to just go ahead and snatch up some Haitian people like they've been doing to Mexican
Trump did
people.
win three times in a
row. Y'all gotta see the video. The Haitian people was whooping they.
It seemed like ICE didn't learn their lesson. Now they done jumped from culture to culture, and they found the right one. You found the right one.
1 year later.
Hundreds of thousands of Haitians are waking up today to a new reality. Temporary protected status, or TPS, has officially expired after the Supreme Court cleared the way for the Trump administration to end that program. That means,
yeah, boy,
that roughly 350,000 Haitians who relied on those protections could now face deportation if they don't have another legal status. And nowhere is expected to feel that impact more than here in Florida, where more than half of all Haitian TPS holders live, with large populations also in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Georgia, and Indiana. Now, TPS was first granted to Haitians after the devastating 2010 earthquake. It allowed people already in the U.S. to legally live and work here while Haiti recovered. Those protections were extended several times over the years, but the Trump administration argued that TPS was never meant to be permanent. Border Czar Tom Homan is defending the administration's stance, saying conditions in Haiti have improved enough to end
love Tom Homan,
program.
baby.
The State Department still advises Americans not to travel there because of widespread gang violence, kidnappings, and political instability. Now, advocates argue that Haiti still qualifies for temporary protected status and warn that ending it could separate families and disrupt industries.
So
here we
gotta
go.
talk about what appears to be a mass crackdown coming against the 350,000 Haitians living in the United States of America under temporary protected status. Again, keyword temporary protected status. Okay,
Yeah.
keyword temporary, not permanent. Okay, but apparently Democrats and even some.
My OBS keeps disconnecting and reconnecting for some dumbass reason. It was doing that before too. I think I need to do an update on my computer because it was doing that before. But it stopped for a long time and now it just started again.
Republicans think that this means permanent because the Haitians are working
I can't
jobs.
smoke
And,
a blunt
you know,
in here,
some
but
of them
I'm
are doing the right
definitely
thing or whatever you
doing
want to call it, right? But again, they're here temporarily, and their temporary protected status has expired. Now, they were supposed to be deported a long time ago.
Protective
but
status.
You know how it goes, okay? Whenever President Trump gets ready to do something that the American people voted for, Democrats fight tooth and nail to stop him, right? They do that by going to court, and then it gets held up in the courts because you have liberal activist judges that decide that they want to fight the Trump administration, right? Until the Supreme Court steps in and finally rules that water's
Why
good,
is shadow
right? That's
banning me?
essentially
What?
how the whole Trump administration has been going thus far, okay, when it comes to a lot of stuff that the president is doing. So it's no different when it comes to this Haitian situation. Again, we've talked about how temporary protected status was supposed to expire a long time ago, but again, the can kept getting kicked down the road. Now, today, it is up, right? The deadline is here. It's up, okay? And ICE has already warned that they're going to launch a massive crackdown, specifically targeting Haitians who no longer are temporarily protected. And because of that, you have some Haitians who are already fleeing the country, or they're going somewhere, right? I mean, I don't know if they're fleeing the country, but they're fleeing, right? They're fleeing, apparently, in response to the Supreme Court ruling that, again, ruled that temporary means temporary. Take a look.
Thanks for staying with The Big Deal. Hundreds of thousands of Haitian and Syrian nationals who are living in the U.S. under temporary protected status are facing a whole lot of uncertainty about their futures. For years, temporary protected status has been extended to people all around the world fleeing war or famine or other disasters. It allows them to legally work and get driver's licenses and send their children to school. But last month, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration can end TPS for individual migrant groups, which is it has proceeded to do with work permits for Haitian holders expiring on July 24th. In one embattled Haitian community in Ohio, the end of TPS status means that families have abruptly moved out, leaving a wave of vacant homes. Sheena Elzy from Spectrum News 1 shows us how community leaders are trying to stay ahead of the problem.
For months, Haitian business owners in Springfield have been telling us they're losing business.
So many people left.
And it's getting worse.
80% of the community, they already left.
They say many Haitians left town out of fear of deportation after a Supreme Court ruling that allows their temporary protected status to be stripped away.
Go back.
Community leaders are watching another possible consequence.
I do think that it's going to be something that is going to impact our community.
Kara Van Zandt is a longtime Springfield resident and the assistant executive director for the Clark County Land Bank. She says they've been working to renovate or remove abandoned properties already made worse by the housing crisis.
With vacant lots, I know that we have tax foreclosed properties, which is a number that we use quite often. That means that they are officially been left, so that abandoned category is checked. We have about 500 parcels in Clark County, primarily in the city of Springfield.
Now there's concern that if more Haitian families leave in a short period of time, even more houses can sit empty.
And fewer options for the people of Haitian community, in the Haitian community or anywhere in town to go if they are left homeless. Now, the mayor, in a recent meeting, the mayor did say they are working with other nonprofits to try and open up more places for people to go, but it's still a big issue here in town.
How are daily services being impacted if 80% of the population is
the
gone?
dumbest
What
shit ever.
happens to
There's
local
plenty of
businesses and schools and public transit?
People that need housing that are American citizens.
Yeah, well, a lot of the Haitian immigrants were working manufacturing jobs. Some of them I talked to were working at warehouses, like Amazon warehouses and things of that nature. And as far as the businesses go, a lot of the Haitian-owned businesses at least say they're seeing less of it, and they're struggling trying to keep up, but they tell me they're going to stay in town.
She's still super stressed out, like she's still super on alert all the time. He's texting you? Bro, I'm gonna fucking wig out, bro. What is wrong with people crashing out? What is wrong with people so sensitive all the fucking time? What is people's deals, bro? Oh shit. Fiona Freedom! Thank you for the Cash App, Fiona. You guys, you're amazing. Jeffy, I just seen your Cash App from yesterday. Thank you, bro. You guys are awesome. I don't know. I got a random... I don't even want to talk about it. It's the same person who's crashed out 7 times before. Messaging me about some stupid ass walkie-talkies, and I guess he's messaging my girl. And bro, it's just so stupid. People are so sensitive.
Until they're forced out.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, allegedly, a large amount of Haitians have evacuated Springfield as a result of this ruling from the Supreme Court, because they're now subject to being deported by ICE, okay? And this administration has come out and said explicitly, yes,
No,
we're
not
going to
quite.
start targeting Haitians, okay? All the boo-hoo whine and crying, all the, oh, it's unsafe for them to go
Walkie-talkies
back.
equals will, no.
You can't send them back. No, it
No.
doesn't matter. They're going back. Okay. Now, I personally think we should not be draining Haiti of all of their valuable resources, right? Their valuable labor, okay, their intellectual capital, right? We shouldn't be draining Haiti of all of these talented individuals, okay? I don't think that's good for Haiti. I think the best thing for Haiti is for them to keep their top talent.
You have to have thick skin to do the stuff that we do. You have to have thick skin to deal with the people that we deal with and do the things that we do.
Okay, if their top talent comes to the United States of America and they all leave Haiti, then where does that leave Haiti, right? Haiti can't get better if their top talent is coming to the United States, right? It's not how it works. So I personally think it's a good thing for them to, you know, go back home and to you know, make Haiti great.
Make
right?
Haiti great again.
But make it great, right?
Make Haiti great.
At
Yeah,
some
it's
point, you got
never
to make
been
the country
great.
great, okay? Nobody complains about the fact that they literally have a neighboring country. The
Make
Dominican
Haiti
Republic,
great
who
for once.
basically has built a wall, and they say, we're not taking Haitians either, right? Nobody complains about that, but we're supposed to, even though we don't share a border with Haiti. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Reports say the latest ICE crackdown will target Haitians as more than 300,000 lose their temporary protection status, or
No,
TPS.
we're not turning.
With arrests and deportations potentially
Tinkerton
starting as
is.
early
We love
as
Tinkerton, but like the crash outs every other day, the crash outs every few days, like it's getting really old, and there's only so many times that you can forgive and forget stuff like that. So something needs to change, and I've tried everything with Tinkerton, but it always seems to go back to crashing out. Mods should have the thickest percent. That's why I don't have a lot of mods, and my mods know not to block people unless they're being like vile. And my wife is usually the only one that's gonna block, and she's only gonna block like the bad people, you know, because she knows that trolls, I don't care if you're in my chat. You can say whatever you want. You can troll and joke around and talk your shit, but as long as you're not being directly personal or threatening or saying vile shit, then you can say whatever you want in the chat, you know?
day. The Haitian Times reports officials are expecting about 1,000 deportees per month. News Nation national correspondent Ryan Bass is live in Florida, which has some of the largest Haitian community. Ryan, what can we expect?
Oh, they're coming to Florida.
Yeah, Nick, nowhere is expected to feel an impact more than the state of Florida here. Today marks a pretty big turning point for hundreds of thousands of Haitians across the country because temporary protected status expires.
What up, Michael
Supreme
Gale?
Court did clear the way for the Trump administration basically to end the program, which means that we're talking about roughly 300,000 people. That's about the size of, think, Orlando or Cleveland.
Chris, can't
that
wait to
could
meet
be
you
in
guys
line
one
for
day, bro.
deportation if they don't have another path to temporary citizenship. Now, TPS, I should say, this program has been around for Haitians since 2010 and that earthquake that devastated the country, allowing them to legally live and work in the United States while Haiti recovered. Those protections
From the river
have been
to the
extended
sea,
several
trans
times
women
since then.
can't
But last month, the
conceive.
Supreme Court cleared the way for the Trump administration to end the program. Borders are Tom Homan. He is defending the move, saying TPS was always meant
Florida
to be
natives
temporary.
hate the
The
Haitians.
Trump administration argues that conditions in
Well,
Haiti
they're
have
probably
improved enough
changing the whole
to
dynamic
end
of
those
that-
protections. But the State
that
Department
state.
still considers Haiti too dangerous for Americans to travel to, saying that there is high crime and kidnappings.
For Americans, right? It's too dangerous for Americans. I wouldn't go, right? Personally,
From the river to
I
the
would
sea,
stay
I have
far
to get
away
out of
as
bed
an
because I have to
American.
pee.
But as a Haitian,
I hate that
it's different.
feeling.
Okay, the Haitians are not Americans, so therefore it doesn't apply to them, right?
I'm sure
It's
he
different,
does, Carol.
okay? Certainly, as an
I'm sure he
American
does.
in Haiti, you're going to be a bigger target. You're going to be in more danger
NC
than a
Kelly,
Haitian person,
we love
right?
you.
In general, right? Just because of the fact that, again, if you're American, then you're a target, right? You're a walking lick, okay? So, I think that makes sense, right? I think it makes sense. There's nothing controversial about that. But the
When
media,
does Scotty
they like
Troll
to
get
spin
to
that
crash
statement
out-
to
crash
mean
out?
that, well, see, if it's too dangerous for
Go
Americans,
for it,
then
bro.
it must be
Do
too
what you gotta
dangerous
do.
for the Haitians,
Crash
right?
out.
It's like,
Get
no,
a
no,
little
no.
off your chest.
Haiti is for Haitians, right? And again, being a run-of-the-mill Haitian,
You can crash out while I go do this real quick. I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes. Hey, you. Love you too. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye. Hey, Ed Eagle, I saw you. I saw you crashing the frick out while I was gone. Cursing up a storm. I don't know why you would do such a thing. Fuck, I need a bigger desk, bro. This desk, I'm just going to order the one that's on my wish list because this desk is too small. And I have my wheel. I have the wheel that Soupy sent me and the pedals. And I need to put it. And this desk is just not going to cut it. Zach removed all his mods. I think that's a smart decision to just, I mean, the least amount of mods is preferable because then that's when people start getting blocked unnecessarily and drama happens. Lots of, you know, that's why I like only having like 3 mods, you know, and they know exactly what I want out of the chat, you know. So Ed Eagle crashed out for Scotty. Hey, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this on Friday. There's gonna be another Sophie Cunningham game, but it's in Portland, and we're gonna have another rally like we did in Seattle, but in Portland at the Moda Center, I think it is. So damn, nobody's deleting anything. Yeah, all of it, you know, all the chats, all the engagement, it helps with the stream. So, no, Zach just had a hearing today. I don't think it was like a fucking trial or anything. Yeah, so I'll be live tomorrow at the Moda Center for the rally like we did in Seattle. And then on Saturday, we're going to go to the Battleground Pride event and hold a couple signs. And I have this whiteboard that I'm going to take. I haven't decided what I want to write on it. I'm thinking about putting like, there's no such thing as trans children, or children cannot consent to puberty blockers, or children are perfect the way they are. I know tomorrow's Thursday. I meant Friday. Friday and Saturday I'll be live for sure. I'm sure I'll do a live tomorrow too, like this tomorrow night. I got a few things I got to get done tomorrow, but Friday, yeah. Friday and Saturday are going to be good days. From the river to the sea. That would be funny too. But I want to see if I can get people to talk to me like I want to put something serious and I want to stick with that topic. You know what I mean? Like, children, there's no such thing as trans children is probably like what I might go with. There's no such thing as trans children, change my mind. Or something like that. You know? And then just stand by the entrance. I don't know. We're gonna do something. Hey, did you know? I'm sure we'll take. Where is it? I'm sure we'll take. Where the fuck did they go? I have the did you know sign. We can take that too. But yeah, I think I want to take the whiteboard because it's a little bit heavier and more sturdy, and I can prop it up without the wind throwing it everywhere maybe.
In Haiti, it's probably safer than being an American. Let's be honest.
Stay on topic. Oh, look, a squirrel. Yeah, it's hard for me to stay on topic.
Temporary protected status. Florida is expected to see it more than anywhere else. More than half of Haitian TPS holders live here. Large populations also, though, are in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Georgia, and also Indiana. We spoke with the executive director of the Florida Immigrant Coalition, who says for many families, just the fear and the uncertainty of if they will be picked up by ICE, that is enough of a punishment here, as opposed to just even staring down the options of being deported.
The threat of seeing your parents disappear overnight, the idea that the living in fear 24/7, not knowing when your turn is coming, right?
Well, they knew. I mean, again, temporary.
If you're here,
right?
if you're here illegally, then that's the only thing you got to worry about.
Do liberals and Democrats and progressives, do they not understand the definition of temporary, right? I think they do understand the definition. But again, they do the same trick that they always pull. It's the same trick they pull with the word or with the term democratic socialism, right? They want to put democratic in front of it to make it sound great. But what they actually just mean is socialism, right? That's what they mean. Same thing with temporary protected status, right?
MC Kelly's
they
great.
put temporary in front of it to make people okay with, oh, okay, it's just temporary,
awesome.
right? But what they actually mean is permanent, right? Democrats and their word games, seriously.
Imagine, I want people to think about The Purge. If somebody has seen the movie The Purge, think about when people are just waiting for their turn to come.
The Purge, she
says that Haiti should.
Did she really just compare deporting illegals to the motherfucking Purge? Did she really just compare enforcing our fucking borders, enforcing our federal immigration laws? Oh, bro, to the Purge. Yeah, I like BCP's videos too. I like the way he can get to the left. Like he has a way of, getting through to them, talking to them, and then trolling the shit out of them without them even realizing it.
Still qualify for the TPS program because of the country's ongoing political instability and violence that is ravaging Haiti right now. But the Senate rejected a bill that would have extended this program through 2029. Haitian officials, by the way, Nick, tell the Miami Herald that U.S. officials have told them to prepare for at least 2 flights, deportation flights a week once those protections officially end, which is slated to be today, Nick.
And Ryan, this comes as the White House is also focusing on denaturalization.
Yeah, the Trump administration has made that a top priority as well. They're ramping up efforts to strip citizenship from people they say that never should have become U.S. citizens in the first place. The Justice Department says that it plans to file at least 250 denaturalization cases by October. And what would be
Is it at an ICE facility?
Of its kind in modern America.
Houston ICE protest. Is it at an ICE facility?
In history
Are
so
you
far
talking
this
about
year, just to give you some context, Nick,
the
it's
black
already filed nearly
conservative
90 cases.
perspective?
That is almost
Man, don't be
4
talking
times
shit.
as many
That's racist,
as during
Joe.
the entire Biden
That was
administration.
racist, Joe.
Ryan Bass, live
It's not
for us
very
in
nice.
Florida with the latest.
Wow. Say what you want about Trump, but you cannot say that he is not trying to execute on his promise of mass deportation, right? He is fighting tooth and nail. He is trying to use every avenue that he can, okay? But unfortunately, again, you have Democrats, liberals. They are also using every avenue that they can to fight back against the Trump administration. But obviously, the Trump administration is willing to fight it out to the end, right? Not only did they secure a win from the Supreme Court, but they said, get ready, right?
So take that back.
I don't see it. Oh, no, I'll just wait. They're coming.
BCP was on Mindy Receipts page quoting Leviticus. Yeah, that sounds like BCP. That sounds like BCP, Danny. Hey, it's good to see you, Danny. I love you, bro.
We're getting there.
Danny, text me. Hey, Danny, I'm going to text you right now. I got a question.
The committee will come to order. In my office, I keep a clock that measures our national debt in real time. This morning, that clock stood at nearly $40 trillion. Washington taxes the American people. Washington borrows against our grandchildren's future earnings. Then Washington sends billions of dollars out the door, often without knowing who receives it.
Hey, thank you for the high five.
Even if the business exists. The federal government loses
Proud infidel,
hundreds of
thank you for
billions
the
of
high
dollars
five,
to
bro.
fraud every year. And when the money disappears, politicians act surprised.
Yeah,
No private
certified white
business would
boy.
survive this way. A bank
My wife
confirms
got
an
that for
account
me.
exists before wiring the money.
Oh, I
Credit
got
card
a
companies flag
shirt.
Suspicious change.
I got a shirt on the way that says from Enrique Tarrio's website that says American supremacist. I can't wait to get that shirt, bro.
Changes in seconds. An insurance company verifies that the patient exists and the treatment occurred before paying a claim. They verify first because it is their money that's online. When the money belongs to the taxpayer, Washington pays first and asks questions later, if it asks them at all. Our first witness, Nick Shirley, decided to see for himself. In Minneapolis, he visited supposed daycare centers that had collected millions of dollars from taxpayers. He found industrial buildings with blacked out windows, no playgrounds, no children, no employees, no one answering the door. These were not complicated accounting irregularities buried deep inside a federal database. The question was obvious. What exactly are taxpayers paying for?
Trump's not responsible for millions of deaths and for releasing the fucking China virus on the whole fucking world. And he's not being paid. He wasn't being paid by the United States government. Shit, my torch died. I don't think it was hot enough.
Mr. Shirley found the same warning signs at autism centers, home health companies, and other providers collecting large government reimbursements. In California, he found hospice and healthcare companies stacked into single
from Wuhan.
office complexes, some marked by nothing more than a sheet of printer paper taped to a door.
Yeah, I liked
Many
the
couldn't
interview with
answer
Matt.
Basic questions about their own
I
patients.
am going to
A
stay in
private
touch
insurer would have stopped
with
payment
Matt from
immediately.
Off Topic Show,
The federal
Danny. It
government
went
kept
really
writing
good.
the checks. Prosecutors have now charged 15 people in
I liked
Minnesota with schemes involving more than $90 million.
Well, we're coming to the wedding too, bro. It's going to be great.
$46 million in fraud. The Justice Department calls it the largest Medicaid autism fraud case in its history. Prosecution is necessary, but it comes after the money is gone. The fraudsters have already been paid.
Thank
the
you,
families
NC
who
Kelly.
needed care have
Oh,
already
thank you,
completed.
Proud Infidel, for the
Taxpayers may
gold
only
coin.
recover pennies on the dollar.
Salute.
Government should verify before it pays. Does the provider exist? Are real people performing real work? Are the patients eligible? Were the services necessary? Are the invoices honest? These are not radical demands. It is what hardworking American taxpayers deserve. When government refuses to verify, it does not merely endanger taxpayer dollars, it destroys public confidence in our elections. In California, James O'Keefe revealed a cash for ballots election fraud scheme, targeting homeless men and women who were offered cash, cigarettes, and marijuana in exchange for signatures on petitions and
That's
voter
so
registration
crazy.
forms. So far, one individual exposed to Mr. O'Keefe's undercover video footage pled guilty to federal charges. Mr. Shirley followed the money. Mr.
That's what he's
O'Keefe
trying to
followed the
do.
signatures.
That's what we're trying to do, Joe. That's what this, that's, we're trying to expose the fraud and go after the fraudsters. But it's just not cut and dry like that. That's what all this shit is, gathering evidence and bringing light to what's happening.
Both found the same machine, a system that rewards volume, discourages scrutiny, and depends upon someone in authority looking the other way. In one system, government counts the claims and sends the money without asking who received it or what work was performed. In the other, officials accept registrations without asking who signed them or whether the process was legitimate. Whether Washington is distributing taxpayer dollars or safeguarding the ballot, government processes first and investigates later. Then, years after the damage is done, announces an indictment and expects applause. Fraud is not an ordinary cost to government. It is theft, theft of taxpayers' earnings, theft of needed services, and theft of the legitimate vote. Our witnesses went where government investigators had not gone and asked the questions the bureaucracy refused to ask. I thank them for their relentless commitment to exposing fraud and demanding accountability. The American people deserve better from their government, including Congress, who keeps writing the checks. Senator Peters.
I'm immune to mace at this point.
Thank you, Chairman Paul. The government has a responsibility to ensure that taxpayer dollars are used efficiently, effectively, and responsibly. And when there is evidence of waste, fraud, and abuse in taxpayer-funded programs, the government must take action to recover the cost and hold wrongdoers accountable.
In the chat.
My time serving in this committee, I've been proud to work across the aisle with many of my colleagues to improve oversight of taxpayer dollars and fight fraud. I worked with Senator Ernst and Senator Hassan to pass bipartisan legislation to prevent conflicts of interest in federal contracts. After learning that a company was being paid with tax dollars to advise the government on oversight of the pharmaceutical industry, while simultaneously being paid by pharma companies to
Saturday is the 1st of August, yeah.
We passed a bill to end this practice and to make sure that taxpayer dollars are being used in Americans' best interest. I worked with Senator Kennedy to pass a bipartisan bill to improve government data access, which will save millions of taxpayer dollars by preventing improper payments to deceased people. I worked with Senator Carper and Senator McCaskill to block scams that were hurting small businesses by fraudulently selling services to secure government contracts, services that the government already provides to small businesses for free. And when Congress was responding to the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic with significant emergency spending,
Thank you, Zero.
I worked with Senator Johnson to establish the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee. We fought to ensure that there were strong
You maced me with Febreze and I would do the same
alongside
thing.
those resources because we knew that bad actors would try to take advantage of the situation. To date, the PRAC has supported more than 50 investigative partners in over 1,200 investigations.
It's just like Hank Hill.
$2.5 billion in potential
For a
fraud
protest, that would be
the
funny
government
shit.
is now continuing to try to recover. In fact, the PRAC model has been so successful that Chairman Paul, you worked to expand its oversight responsibilities as part of the big, beautiful bill. It is an unfortunate reality that there is always the risk of fraud in government programs, which is why we need strong controls. A strong oversight of government spending.
Thank you, Joe. I'll always just do me.
We're going to help
I'll
the
always
American
be
people
me. I'll
and
try
not
to
the fraudsters.
just always
Our federal
stay
government
myself.
Had more
you know,
of these strong
stay
oversight mechanisms
true
up
to who
until
I am
last year.
as much as I
when President
possibly
Trump
can.
fired
You know?
19 independent inspector generals in violation of the law. He removed experienced independent investigators with a strong record of identifying waste and fraud and replaced them with cronies. It's hard to overstate the damage that has been done to independent oversight. Many of the watchdogs we count on to identify wrongdoings are now fearful that they will be fired or retaliated against just for doing their job. On top of that, President Trump created Doge.
Danny, you know,
staffers,
I'm always
led
me,
by Elon
baby.
Musk,
I love you
made
guys,
arbitrary
bro.
cuts across
I
the
miss you
federal
guys
government.
already. It was so good
Doge
seeing you
was
guys
supposed to
yesterday.
save $1
I
trillion.
had a blast.
Instead,
I'm glad
their
we made the
reckless
trip.
cuts caused
And we'll
chaos
see you tomorrow.
and
Not
may have
tomorrow,
actually
but
cost taxpayers more in the
Thursday.
long run. As
I
the
mean, Friday.
administration had to
Damn.
rehire workers
For
and
some reason, I
reinstate
keep thinking
contracts
today's
that they
Thursday.
canceled. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a report that I released last May.
Without objection.
Thank you. This report, which found that the federal government could have saved taxpayers more than $175 billion by implementing recommendations from the 19 independent inspector generals that President
billion,
Trump
bro.
fired unlawfully.
That's
Far more money
crazy. Thank you,
Doge
Martha.
ever delivered. President Trump is also
Yeah,
proposing a new
babe.
scheme to control
Exactly,
federal grant
babe.
dollars
Thank
that
you.
will allow him to
Yeah.
direct taxpayer dollars to political allies.
Trust me, it drives
and
my
punish
wife nuts
partisan
sometimes.
enemies,
I
all
guarantee
while
it. I
undermining
drive her up the
independent
walls.
oversight. Not only have President Trump's actions created an environment where fraud can thrive, but incredibly, he has also pardoned multiple convicted fraudsters who combined
I'm gonna
have
grab some water
committed
and take a drag of a
billions of
cigarette
dollars
while you
worth
listen to
of
this
fraud.
for a second. Give me a couple
Pardoned
minutes.
by President Trump. These pardons wiped
I
out
need
an
some
estimated
water.
$1.3 billion in restitution and have frequently gone to wealthy and well-connected individuals. It sends a signal that you have money or the president's favor, you can commit fraud without consequence. And finally, if we're going to talk about fraud, waste, and abuse, we must also talk about how President Trump has abused his public office to enrich himself and his family, not improve the everyday lives of Americans who or protect taxpayer dollars. Since taking office in 2025, President Trump and his family has made an estimated $2 billion from cryptocurrency alone. And if this committee is serious about tackling fraud, I hope we could work together to hold the administration accountable for the ways in which they have undercut independent oversight and fulfill our own role to conduct oversight of the administration's actions that have unquestionably enabled fraud. We need to restore the strong, experienced, and independent watchdogs who have a proven track record of fighting fraud and getting money back for the American people, rather than amplifying sensationalized social media that takes a more focused on getting views than on actually getting the truth. Mr. Chairman, we share the goal of saving taxpayer dollars and making our government more efficient. And when you're ready to bring in federal officials to testify, conduct oversight, and advance additional legislation to crack down on fraud, my colleagues and I are ready to do the work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It is the practice of this committee to swear in witnesses. Will each of you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated. Our first witness will be Nick Shirley. He is an independent journalist known for his on-the-ground investigations, which he publishes on his social media pages and the Anti-Fraud Club website. Mr. Shirley.
My name is Nick Shirley. I'm a 100% independent journalist who seeks each day to serve we the people of the United States with the mission to show the world the reality of things as they really are. America was built and created by strong men and women who loved America and never would have thought to rob, steal, or cheat from its very own citizens. Unfortunately today, America's good faith has been abused by others, often foreigners who seek to harm, rob, and cheat America. Through my efforts, I've exposed billions of dollars of fraud and helped save America hundreds of billions for years to come. When we talk about fraud, we are talking about money that is being stolen from hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. This issue has nothing to do with political parties. No dollar says Republican or Democrat on it. When a fraudster commits fraud, he or she steals from all of us. Last December, I published a 43-minute-long video exposing widespread fraud in Minnesota. That video became one of the most viewed videos in internet history and gained over 4 billion views in just 7 days across all forms of media. The fraud was so obvious that the fraudsters weren't even trying to hide it. The infamous Quality Leering Center was born, and that video has become one of the most consequential videos in American history by the amount of legislation it has created. Since posting it, over 30 bills have...
He's absolutely correct, bro. This man is a hero. This man they're making bills against him when they should be making bills with him at this point.
Been created and introduced in Congress regarding fraud. A new fraud task force has been created, and the Treasury is working on new systems to stop fraud at unprecedented levels. I helped ignite a war on fraud across the country. People often...
He is a little bit awkward, huh? But he's got balls of steel. He's got a huge heart. And he's super fucking young. He has a whole career ahead of him. This dude is going to be something in this world. He's going to make something of himself because he already is. Look at him. Look how young he is. And look how amazing he's doing for our country. He definitely deserves a medal. He definitely deserves a medal.
Wonder how come this fraud became so big and how come it became so rampant? And the reason is because no one actually ever really looked into it. When Elon Musk offered to help by creating Doge, people burned his factories, bombed his cars, and politicians even celebrated his company's stock going down. Elon was right when he said the fraudsters complained the loudest. By exposing the fraud, I actually also exposed the politicians and media who worked for years to cover it up. Governor Tim Walz labeled my work as white supremacy and called me a far-right delusional conspiracy theorist. Meanwhile, he dropped out of re-election, and he even said he has ended his political career. Now, the highest government-funded daycare in Minnesota has pleaded guilty to daycare fraud, and the largest autism bust in American history has been exposed. Where is Tim Walz in the media now?
Yeah, exactly.
Over 80% of the fraud committed in Minnesota is by the Somali population.
80% of the fraud committed in Minnesota is by the Somali population. That is how big is... Where's my phone? Hey Siri, how big is the Somali population in Minnesota? 70,000 or more Somalis now live in Minnesota. So out of 70... Hey Siri, what's the population of Minnesota? Out of 5,706,494 people, right? 70,000 Somalis in Minnesota, and they're committing 80% of the fraud in Minnesota. Those numbers are astronomical. We need to get all of them out. It's such an insignificant amount. They need to all be deported out of our country. They're not bringing anything of value to our country. Anybody from a third world fucking country is not going to bring value to our country. Why do we want to bring a bunch of people that's going to come and fraud the American system, fraud the American taxpayers, take EBT for the entire time that they're here, and you guys just want them to stay. They just want them to stay here and just keep, bro, no, just get rid of the problem outright. Deport them all. Deport them all. Bro, that's crazy numbers to me. That's insane. 80%. Wow.
In Minnesota, I exposed widespread fraud in California within the daycare and hospice community, where an impossible 1/3 of Americans on hospice care were set to die in Los Angeles. The next day, the governor, Gavin Newsom, posted an AI-generated image of myself trying to mock and discredit my work. Only days later, he and his attorney general both tried to take credit for exposing the fraud. Now the attorney general's wife has created a bill that would make it criminal to expose fraud. The Stop Nick Shirley Act, also known as AB 2624, will help fraudsters cover up their crimes and prevent themselves from being exposed, specifically in immigrant communities. Politicians often use immigrant communities to commit fraud. Why would they allow this to happen? In California, Medi-Cal, their Medicaid program, has now more than doubled from $108 billion in 2022 to a proposed $222 billion, while enrollment has only rose by less than 1%. The system is filled with bad actors and fraudsters. In New York City, government-funded adult daycares pay for elderly Koreans and Chinese to play ping pong and do tai chi at the taxpayers' expense. An impossible number of patients are registered, and those patients receive kickbacks for attending and signing up their friends. Over $2 billion has gone to these fraudsters at the taxpayers' expense. And I am just one person doing the work of many people. If the government and media is not going to do their job to help America, it's the responsibility of strong men and women, however old they may be, to do it. I am doing it. Despite the threats and burdens that come, it must be done. I'm doing it with the help of everyday Americans that government-paid officials are supposed to do. And the media teams across the country have millions of dollars to do this, yet they don't look into this fraud. They've actually quite literally failed us. If we as Americans don't stand up to protect our country, we will lose our country. Fraud is so rampant in the United States, I could go to all 50 states and uncover millions of dollars of tax dollars being defrauded, wasted, and abused. It is my wish while sitting in front of you guys today that you take action and help Americans by cracking down on all the fraud, and to simply put Americans first. Thank you.
I just subscribed to him. I'll check him out.
O'Keefe. He's an American investigative journalist and media entrepreneur. He's the founder of Project Veritas and currently serves as the founder and CEO of O'Keefe Media Group. Mr. O'Keefe.
Chairman Paul, Ranking Member Peters, and members of this committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. In February of 2026, I disguised myself as a homeless person and approached a petition circulator on Skid Row near San Pedro and South 6th Street in downtown LA. I saw cash clipped to his shirt, which I thought was odd. The petition circulator told me, "We're going to need 14 signatures and we're going to pay you $2. One of our reporters, disguised as a heroin addict with track marks on his arm, asked the homeless, "What's going on here?" They all replied with one word: money. We recorded a woman named Brown handing over cash as payment in exchange for a homeless person to register to vote in a federal election. Now that is a federal crime. Congress expressly criminalizes payments to people to register to vote. Why? Because the vote is sacred. It's an act of conscience, of judgment. And when it becomes contaminated by incentives, when it is for sale, it undermines the sanctity and fairness of the process designed to elect those who represent us. Our investigation contributed to a federal criminal prosecution, with U.S. Attorney Bill Asalia saying, "Once I saw these videos, I went to work." Brown described the whole thing as a, quote, pyramid game. And then came the irony. In a neighborhood of NGOs in Los Angeles designed to protect the vulnerable homeless population, the person being confronted by the NGOs was not the fraudster, it was the reporter exposing the fraud. Just minutes after we exposed these felonies, I was approached by a man who identified himself as being with the LAPD, and he began to record me. When I pressed him, he admitted he was actually with the LA Homelessness Authority. Under California law, that's a crime. So this was also a form of fraud, albeit covering up for the fraud happening across the street. But it got worse. We witnessed petition circulators giving marijuana in exchange for signatures on the petitions.
What?
When they spotted on camera,
I love me some good Mary Jane. I love me some good flour. A little bit of dab hits every now and then. I only do those when I'm in here because I can't smoke flour in the house. But giving weed for signatures is absolutely insane, bro.
they told one of our reporters, "I'm going to knock your bleeping ass. Don't come over here again. I'm going to beat your ass." He threatened us. So we decided to band together. We formed a Citizen Journalism Justice League featuring Savannah Hernandez, Cam Higbee, Anthony Rubin, and John Tro. And over the next few weeks, we caught dozens of these cash and drug exchanges for signatures on the petitions. Together, over the course of those next few weeks, we released reporting that prompted the governor of California not to attack us, but to say that what we did was important and the activity should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We also found
what he said.
Petitioners asking homes to sign in other people's names. We recorded over the shoulder one petitioner.
Let's go, Ruindolph.
Access an online
I can't say your name.
Ruindolph. And addresses. I have an Idaho address, said the voter.
Ruindolph.
Says, "I'm going to give you an address to write. Your name is Robert."
Right.
Another says, "I'm giving you a new name."
I need a cameraman, bro.
Those people who were
that would be so much more better if I had a cameraman.
Was Vicky Walker. The homeowner at that address said for 9 years he received election mail in the name of this Vicky Walker. In fact, he told me he'd received so many ballots in the name of Vicky Walker, he named his cat Vicky Walker. We returned to ask for comment from the petitioner who was offering drugs in exchange for signatures. The same individual who had threatened us earlier, he grabbed the petitions and hid them in his car. When we caught up to him, one of his associates charged at us and punched my producer in the neck. The two men then charged at me. And right before they struck us, Cam Higbee deployed pepper spray. With pepper spray in their eyes, the two men continued to attempt to assail us. My colleague Braden and I had no choice but to run for our lives.
Oh, yeah.
To this day, all the fraudsters that committed state
I
crimes
remember that
are free.
video.
This, as Nick has said, is not a political issue. It's not a partisan issue. It's not a conspiracy theory. And it is most certainly not circumstantial evidence. Everything I've testified to you here, all the quotes and many more, are all recorded on tape. So the question before this committee is not whether the fraud exists or whether it's happening. Oftentimes in politics, you all debate the facts. Facts are what they are. The question is why the incentives allow it to flourish. There is money in fraud, but there's no money in exposing the fraud. And when laws are ignored without consequences, fraud becomes the incentive. Fraud becomes the model of life. Tony Moore, one of the coordinators for the ballot petitions, told us if there's no consequences, it doesn't matter. And that's the point. I don't have subpoena power. Us journalists don't have the power to do anything but expose. They campaign in this building about freedom and protecting democracy and preventing disenfranchisement and how nobody is above the law. But if those principles are not enforced, when they're violated in broad daylight, they're not principles at all. They're slogans. And without accountability, our notion of freedom is just an illusion. Thank you.
Senator Peters will introduce our third witness.
Mr. Dylan Hitler-Gadet is the acting Vice President of Policy and Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight, commonly known as POGO. Mr. Hitler-Gadet is a nationally recognized expert in a range of good government issues, including government ethics, anti-corruption policy, separation of powers, the rule of law, and government operations integrity and effectiveness. He has testified before Congress on 8 separate occasions on a variety of topics, including preventing waste and fraud, defense spending accountability, judicial ethics, and undue foreign influence. Mr. Hitler-Gadet and POGO have routinely engaged with Congress on bipartisan and pragmatic solutions to address government program integrity and protect taxpayer dollars. Thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate your testimony.
Chairman Paul, Ranking Member Peters, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. My name is Dylan Hitler-Gadet, and I'm the Acting Vice President of Policy and Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight. We are a nonpartisan, independent watchdog organization with 45 years of experience promoting accountability, transparency, and effectiveness in the federal government. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to start with some data to paint a bit of a picture for us. We currently spend about $7 trillion a year in terms of our federal budget. In fiscal year 2025, we ran a $1.8 trillion federal budget deficit. We currently carry a federal debt load of about $40 trillion. And payments on that, interest payments on that debt are the third largest annual expenditure we make each year. The fourth largest of which is our defense budget, which now comes in at a cool $1 trillion. And if President Trump has his way, that number will balloon to a staggering $1.5 trillion this year. Why do I start with this big picture data? It's important to realize that vast sums of taxpayer dollars are at stake when we talk about the issues of waste, fraud, and abuse. It's equally important to remember that the federal government has an equally vast responsibility and an obligation to be the best possible and most responsible caretaker and steward of those taxpayer dollars. We have more data that can tell us a little bit about how well the federal government is delivering on that responsibility. Recently, the Government Accountability Office issued a report in which it estimated that in fiscal year 2025, the federal government issued $186 billion in improper payments, bringing the total of improper payments issued in fiscal year 2003 to $3 trillion or thereabouts. GAO also estimated that in 2024 alone, we lost somewhere between $230 and $520 billion to fraud. Lastly, GAO tells us and projects that if we were to work harder to eradicate duplication, fragmentation, and overlap in federal government programs, we would be able to save $100 billion a year. Now, what does this data
$100
tell
billion
us?
a
This
year.
tells us pretty categorically
Hey,
that we,
what
and in
up,
particular, the federal
Polly?
government, are not doing a good enough job overseeing and managing the country's
It's crazy
precious
to me.
public resources. And the only way to get there is to promote actionable, common sense, pragmatic reforms, and it is those exact kinds of reforms that I'm here to talk about today. First, we must look to internal watchdogs and oversight practitioners, such as Inspector General, the Government Accountability Office, the Office of Government Ethics, the Office of Special Counsel, and others. And we must strengthen, empower, and fully...
Why is he wearing
perform their
sunglasses
essential
inside?
functions
Those are Ray-Bans,
as
bro.
taxpayers'
He's
eyes and ears
recording.
from within the federal government.
Those are meta glasses.
Second, we must also provide safe and secure reporting and disclosure channels for federal whistleblowers. Courageous individuals from within the government often blow the whistle and expose some of the worst waste, fraud, abuse, corruption, and malfeasance, and they are often all too common on the receiving end of reprisal and retaliation for doing so. It is imperative that Congress create these safe and secure disclosure channels while also strengthening protection from retaliation and reprisal for federal whistleblowers. Lastly, the technical architecture that the federal government currently uses to monitor, track, analyze, and assess federal funding is woefully inadequate. Key databases and resources like usaspending.gov and the System for Award Management are in desperate need of overhaul and modernization. Congress should start by dramatically expanding the quality and quantity of the data and information required to be reported and collected up and down the spending chain. Congress should also work to bring parity in data collection and information reporting across program categories.
No
and
drama
spending
in the
types.
chat.
Lastly, Congress should also hold federal agencies' feet to the fire to comply with existing...
Oh, Christopher,
reporting
thank you
and
for the
disclosure
$20
requirements, which
super
agencies
chat,
are
brother.
often
God
not
bless you,
doing at all.
bro. It's good to see you in the chat. Thank you, bro.
The upshot here is that waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption are real, and they are pernicious, and we must do something about them. The only way we're going to solve them is by some of the reforms and others that I have laid out
Maybe
today,
he's a white trash.
but we're not
Ray
going
Charles.
to solve them by focusing on
fucked
sensationalistic
up.
anecdotes, clout-chasing viral internet videos, or provocative pseudo-documentaries. We're also not going to solve these problems by demonizing and scapegoating specific communities and constituencies based on partisan, political, and ideological agendas. Thank you again for inviting me here to testify today, and I look forward to your questions.
We're going to begin a round of questions. I'm going to defer my time to Senator Johnson.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. So we've
You
had
think he's
in
blind for real?
testimony and opening statements.
Oh, I didn't
a
know that.
couple
If he
jabs,
is, my
I guess,
bad.
At Nick Shirley's videos.
Hey, Chris, don't
The
be
only
chipping
reason
out,
we're
dog.
taking
That's
fraud
crazy.
seriously is because of that independent journalism sitting in front of us. The fact that he exposed, in all its gory detail, how grotesque and how blatant this fraud is, how rampant it is. So, Mr. Hitler Gaudet, listen, I agree with most of your prescriptions here.
Say my name, say
Chairman
my
of the committee,
name.
we had you testify. I've been trying to support of Inspector Generals. Now we've had to, got a couple of Inspector Generals resigning ahead of the posse, because they're certainly not perfect as well. But the problem I have with all the prescriptions is it hasn't worked. The lowest estimate I hear fraud of the federal government is $250 billion a year. I think you said 230. We had in a subcommittee hearing LexisNexis saying it's $1 trillion. It wasn't really until this administration with DOGE, which is, that effort's also been denigrated here, that we started going in there and actually doing something about it. Now you have Dr. Oz going in, again, I think partly because of Nick Shirley's revelation that a third of the hospice centers in America were in Los Angeles County. So the way we prevented that fraud is we stopped funding 400 of them, and not one of those hospice centers complained. So it's the tip of the iceberg. Mr. Shirley, again, I commend you on your phenomenal journalism. I'm, quite honestly,
Blind guy
when
was
I
a
saw that
Biden
happening, why
apologizer.
didn't I think of that? Why didn't my staff do those videos? Journalism is crucial to this. You're a partner in what we need to do, and it's only because of
Tommy,
those videos
say my
and
name,
exposure
say my
that we have any
name.
chance of trying to rein in this beast. But you mentioned the Stop Nick Shirley Act. What is that? I mean, can you describe that in greater detail?
Yeah, so that's a bill that's been created by Mia Bonta, the wife of the Attorney General of California, and the official title is AB 2624, and it's to provide, make it essentially illegal to expose and to film outside of immigration support service providers. That means any entity that provides services to illegal migrants.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Is this live right now?
Of 2024 is basically an exercise of the powers of the 25th Amendment by the political elites in the Democratic Party to get President Biden not to run again and to substitute Kamala Harris for him as the Democratic nominee.
Is this happening right now?
President. So, Mr. Spicer, maybe the mechanics were a little bit different. Maybe the timing was not the same. But doesn't that demonstrate the capacity of the leadership of the Democratic Party, of the Biden family, of the senior staff,
repost,
the president's administration, to be able to convince the president that he no longer was capable of serving and needed to step down?
Senator, the left and the friends in the media like to throw around terms like threats to democracy, constitutional crisis. And if we don't have confidence in the leader of the free world making decisions, that truly is the definition of a constitutional crisis and a threat to democracy. So for all these folks to stand up here and use those phrases over and over again and then not have the
God dang it.
Whether that be healthcare or legal fees. If I were to go out and film a video in front of one of these locations, perhaps an NGO like
James
Turla
O'Keefe, and his
$80
team,
million from the
this
government,
shouldn't come
and they give
as a
me
surprise
a piece of
at all.
paper, and they say, hey, you cannot publish that video. If that bill passes, it'll be illegal for me to.
I need to update my computer. I'm trying to find the video.
It really ought to be renamed the Protect Medicaid Fraudster Act. Which would probably be a better description,
correct?
I do be concentrating hard. I'm still figuring shit out, but it's fun.
Pushback from our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, from just the denigration here from the ranking member, from Governor Newsom. Why is that? You would think that trying to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse would be a completely nonpartisan issue.
Because they quite frankly need the fraud. They actually need the fraud.
Mr. O'Keefe, and I've got a lot more questions, but I'm not understanding. What were these petitions about?
What do you think about the rise of communism here inside of America?
Money for signatures on petitions.
All right, let's watch one. Oops. Let's watch his new video. The rise of communism in America.
You know what? It's not surprising.
But I think I'm pretty pro-communism. I'm pretty pro getting rid of prisons.
You're pretty pro-retarded.
I am married into a family who escaped communism, and we are far from that.
The Democratic Social. I'm pretty pro-communist. Anybody that says that with a straight face has got to be one of the most ignorant people you've ever talked to. You know? I'm just saying. Communism kills. We have freedom here. Communism is the furthest thing from freedom you can get besides maximum security prison.
Are just
a form of communism?
Communism is primed for countries like England, America.
Communism never works, but it's such an easy idea.
Here in America, communism is rising. Today we're going to be asking people here in New York City about the rise of communism, socialism, the Democrat Socialists of America. There's lots of ideas that are going and being spread around across the United States that revolve.
Oh, we could probably tomorrow night, maybe we could do some reactions to man, bro, I am not happy with myself right now. Northwest Audits, he holds the trans sign, and then I'll also check out Edge of the Matrix. Here, let me subscribe to him real quick, and I'll check out Edge of the Matrix. Oh, I've seen his videos before. Yeah. So, we'll watch we'll do a reaction night and watch some of Northwest Audits. Why am I feel like that's wrong? That's not who I'm thinking about, Northwest Audit. I'm thinking of, why can I not remember his name? He holds the TWAM sign all over. Bro, he's reposted my stuff, and I'm just brain farting on his name right now. Why is that? Midwest Audit, not Northwest Audit. It's Midwest Audit. Yeah, I was brain farting. So we'll watch some of his. Yeah, he has a couple videos. He has one from 6 days ago and one from 2 weeks ago. And we'll watch some of his videos. Maybe Billboard Chris too. Billboard Chris is great. Edge of the Matrix, I've seen some of his, I've seen clips and stuff of his on Instagram and X, and I like what he does. So we'll do that tomorrow. That's what we'll do with tomorrow's live.
Around communism. So today we're asking people here in New York City, from college students to lawyers. We'll be talking to everybody about the rise of communism here inside of America. Let's get into it. Let's start talking to people here and wait till the very end, because it gets very interesting. Let's go. Your laptop right here says, "This machine kills fascist."
Yeah.
Right now we have a rise of communism here inside of America. What do you think about the rise?
Stripey audits.
Communism ideas, socialist-like ideas. The DSA is very prominent nowadays.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, you're in the home of democratic socialists in Greenwich Village. This is where it began and where it's thrived and where it's been thriving.
I just
for over 100
subscribed. I'll
years,
check
so
him out too.
This is the home of it, and I hope it spreads through the country. The more that we take care of each other, the better we
This
are
machine
collectively gonna
kills
be.
fascists. That's
think if we tax
crazy.
the rich more,
Guido! Tommy's chat is 100% First
Obviously,
Amendment
it's
chat.
so
Yep.
freaking stupid. The
First Amendment
billionaires
chat, baby.
are
That's
not
what we
paying
love about it.
taxes. And if they just paid
Oh, I gotta
their
get my
share,
butane. Hold on.
we would have.
Did he just say if they say that? Did he just say if they pay their fair share? Billionaires pay more taxes in 1 year than this motherfucker probably has in an entire life, bro. Just thought I'd say that. I gotta get my butane. Man, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Hey, my wife just teased me hella bad right now. She was like, I think I'm gonna make some spaghetti. And I was like, tonight, I got super happy. That shit sounded hella good. And she's like, no, we gotta get the stuff to make it. She got my hopes up, and then she crushed them. But we're having spaghetti tomorrow, because I'll go to the grocery store at like 5 in the morning for some spaghetti tomorrow. Ooh. Just thought I'd share that little nitpick. All right.
Healthcare for all, for instance.
What do you think about, for instance, a lot of people say like we need to tax the billionaires more, but then we also see all this fraud that's taking place here inside the United States. Do you think if they just got rid of fraud, we'd have enough resources for everyone?
Just because some thieves are stealing some stuff doesn't mean that we should stop the system and stop taxing people and stop helping people. Just because some people cheat doesn't mean you should wipe out the system.
And since Zoran's taken office, there's been about a lot of millionaires and billionaires have left the city, and now it's estimated that there's like $11 billion that
only I get teased with food.
Do you think by taxing the rich, more people will flee New York?
No, and I don't believe those numbers. Everybody wants to be here, so
no, nobody wants to be in New York no more.
What do you think about the rise of
my girl don't eat spicy stuff, so I doubt there'll be spicy beef.
Absolutely deplorable that we're allowing this to happen. Everyone needs to just grow up and wake up.
What do you think about the rise of communism here inside the United States?
The rise of communism? That would be hard for me to answer unless we have a shared definition of communism.
Yeah, so for instance, right now here in New York City, they're now freezing the rent. They want Medicare for all. That's free Medicare. They want to tax the rich, redistribute the wealth. Zoran Mandami, he also wants prisoners to get released. He's trying to get rid of Rikers Island and abolish private ownership in some cases as well.
Bro, we need to get the fuck. We need to get Mandami out. He's got to go, bro. Mandami's got to go.
I can't really.
That pissed me off, bro. Look at those SSRIs.
But I think I'm pretty pro.
They all got them.
I'm pro making things accessible. I'm pretty pro getting rid of prisons.
How can you like to get rid of prisons?
Well,
you're pro letting
the system
criminals
of
on the
criminality is a
street.
very strange way to interact with, like, I guess humanity in general, and like things.
I guarantee if she got attacked in her home and the dude got arrested and went to prison, she wouldn't want that motherfucker released early. I guarantee it. She's such a hypocrite, bro. She's just trying to. She's a bandwagoner. She wants to sound woke. You know, it's mind numbing.
Things that, as a species, we're not interested in, like perpetuating. I think it's kind of backwards. And so I'm not certain what prisons are actually doing for our society. And so...
Would you like to have criminals out in the open?
Would you want criminals out in the open? Sure. I'm fine with that because the idea of a criminal is like
What?
a little bit funny to me.
Let's just say somebody...
The idea of a criminal is a little bit funny to me. Come on, bro. I understand if somebody commits a crime and they do their time and they get out and they straighten their life out, because it happens. I'm proof of that. I've been to prison. I've done dumb shit. I've been to prison twice. I've done dumb shit. I've been to jail a bunch of times. I paid for my crimes. I did my time. And now I've changed my life and I don't do shit like that no more. I do good shit, you know? I'm way more positive person. People can find themselves. But to let criminals out of prison just because you don't want people in prison, just because you want to just because you want to fucking, fuck, I'm brain farting on the word. Just because you want to be woke and virtue signal is what I was looking for. You want to release a bunch of fucking violent criminals from one of the most dangerous jails. Rikers Island is one of the most dangerous jails in the country, and you want to just abolish Rikers Island, and let all these criminals on the streets? You think crime is bad now? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. That shit just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make no sense, bro. It's just it's ridiculous.
Who has raped a woman?
Totally.
Would you like them to be out in the street?
I think my answer is yes, even though that's a challenging answer to say.
So if you got raped, would you like your rapist to be out in the street?
Well, like, let me finish, because I have been raped, and they are out in the street, and I'm not sure, like, them going to jail is a solution to, like, whatever's going on inside.
Oh, so
their
they could
heart,
just
or even
stay out on the
heart
street
that,
and
like,
do it
to that experience that I'm having.
Push forward by.
And I don't want more people to get raped, but I don't know.
Well, if you don't want more people to get raped, then you put the person that's doing the raping in prison and you do not allow them to be on the streets. Like, what is wrong with people like this, bro? What is... Oh, bro. Live stream Andrew. I don't know who that is.
For certain, that going into a jail in the United States,
God allows
is
U-turns.
going to
Yeah, that's
shift
great,
anything
Darla.
inside of their like operating system, so that they'll make a different choice again.
Wow. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. And is there
He said, wow.
one last message you'd like to give the people about potential the rise of communism or freeing the people inside the prisons?
Just like free yourself from the own prison in your heart, and then maybe we can get
Free yourself from your mental illness,
So underneath
bro.
the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, they actually want to defund the police and abolish prisons. In fact, Zora Mandami was watching the World Cup with prisoners of Rikers Island. That lady wants, she even said it herself,
Suicidal empathy is going to be the death of us, bro.
Can you be a communist and also be an
Oh.
American patriot at the same time?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
What do you think about the rise of ideas like communism and socialism here inside of America?
Are you serious? Do you think that that's a serious concern?
Yeah, I do actually.
I don't
For instance, there's like a big group called DSA, Democrat Socialists of America,
Right.
and right now they just published a thing saying they want to
Enrique.
get rid of President, Senate, and Supreme Court.
It sounds so radical, like abolish the Senate, abolish the Supreme Court, like et cetera, but it's not. Like those are the things that need to happen in order to have a political system that actually like works for working people.
So whenever people are like, oh my God, they want to get rid of the president, I was like, well, I don't know what we would call it in the future. We could call it the head honcho of whatever.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. That
Wow.
sounds like an extreme position. I don't think kind of socialism in America is represented generally by that point of view. So.
The mayor of New York is a member of DSA. What do you think about the rise of communism here inside of America? The ideas of communism.
I don't think I would agree with the premise of the question.
How would you rephrase it?
Or let me just answer that I don't think communism is rising in America.
What do you think about some of the ideas that are
Bro, she looked like
popular here inside?
She looked like a whole penguin from Batman, bro. She looked like Penguin's sister. She looked like Penguin's sister, or she looks like a motherfucking rooster. Look at that fucking, bro. Look at the forehead, dog. Her forehead goes way back past her hairline. Look at that shit. Hey, I'm not even joking, bro. Look at this. Look at how many cursor links is it? 1, 2, 3. Jesus, that's got to be at least 7 fingers, bro. That's got to be at least 7 fingers, dog. Like, that's not a 4-head. That's a 7-head. That's not a 4-head, that's a 7-head.
United States.
I'm a professor here at NYU, and I can tell you those are not communist ideas, right? Those ideas can belong to a social justice agenda or
Look at his face.
a left liberal agenda.
Look at his face.
But I
He's
wouldn't
like, this
describe
bitch is
those
crazy.
as communism. So I think the
That's Penguin from Batman, bro. He transitioned.
The assumption.
Penguin from Batman done transitioned, bro. Penguin from Batman done transitioned, dog. They got to him, bro. The trans shit done got to the Penguin. She's trying to be a conehead. Bro, that. Look, she got Star Wars ears, Star Trek ears, Klingon ears or some shit. Look at this shit, bro. Oh man! All right, I'll stop. I'll stop.
Those things.
Neanderthal, yeah,
You
she's a
got these
Neanderthal.
professors and these teachers and stuff like that. They're also agreeing with this kind of stuff and stuff
We
like
just
that.
talked to a professor at NYU, and she said those are more like left-leaning ideas. She didn't refer to them as socialist or communist-like ideas.
Oh, of course, yeah. To me, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's just different degrees of it. That's all.
What's the truth about the rise of communism here inside the United States?
There's a few things. So one, a lot of our younger generation, they've been taught about Nazism and fascism. They have not been taught about communism. They have not seen the little black book of communism. They've not seen the piles of skulls. They have no idea. People like myself are actually from Russia. We know what the reality of communism is. To them, it's this la-di-da sort of fantasy life. After all, Karl Marx himself was an unemployed loser who sat there writing about things that he was just making up, pontificating. There was no connection between him and reality, not at all. So that's one thing, right? The other thing is that we have, I think someone called John Doyle, who's on the internet, he refers to it as, what was it? Gay race communism, right? So it's not just white liberals with communism. It's now also this like weird anti-white, anti-oppression, this idea that the only way to make up for some sort of white guilt people have
Jimmy
is to
Neutron's
redistribute
mom?
assets, and it
That's
has to be done
fucking
in these
funny,
kind of
bro.
multicultural, sort of largely failing cities. And then there's a third thing, and I think that...
Oh, so Greek. So, are you saying that pretend hasn't been to ICE for a while? I haven't seen his lives. I haven't looked on his lives for a while. Is he not going to ICE no more? They chased him completely off, huh? Upsetty Spaghetti, we love you too. Thank you, bro.
This thing is something that's very scary, and we have to really be aware of.
And remember this guy, because we'll be coming back to him in just a moment. He actually has something very interesting to share.
And while we're making this video, we want to make sure that all perspectives and opinions are heard. And one way I do this is by using a tool called Opus Clip. Opus is more than just an AI clipper. They're actually the fastest and most powerful AI growth tool for all creators and businesses.
Okay.
So far, over 10 million
I
people
love
have
you.
used it. It's helped generate over 60 billion views. And for me, just this month alone on Facebook, it helped generate me 63 million views all through Opus Clip. It's super simple to use, and all you do is you upload your video or copy a YouTube link into Opus, and Opus will then take that video and come out with a bunch of viral shorts and videos for you then to post on all of your platforms, from Facebook, YouTube Shorts, TikTok to Instagram. Opus will help you get those videos seen by millions of people. What I use, it's called their bulk schedule feature. I then click all the videos, and then I just go ahead and schedule them to post automatically. That saves me so much time and so much money, quite frankly, on another editor to get my videos seen by millions of people. It's been proven to work.
He's
for me.
doing
I
better.
promise it'll work
My girl's dad is doing better. He's at home, and he's definitely doing a lot better.
for you guys as well. And right now, for you guys watching this video, Opus is going to hook you guys up with a sweet deal. For the next 4 months, you'll get it at 50% off. All I have to do is go to the link in the description from the pinned comment down below and use code NICK. I promise you guys, Opus is a game changer. And if I can use it, you can use it. And if my mom right here can use Opus Clip, so can you.
So can you. If I can use it, I guarantee you can use it.
It is that simple. Go ahead and use the link in the description or the pinned comment down below. And now let's get back into the video.
And then there's a third thing, and I think this thing is something that's very scary and we have to really be aware of. Not everyone knows about this. It's called the Red-Green Alliance, which is basically that Islamism, which is very much focused on conquering the West, has seen that the best way to infiltrate the West is to undermine its nationalist institutions through communism, because communism always inherently has been anti-nationalist.
Sorry.
It has been obsessively
Somebody
humanist
is
and obsessively
messaging me.
egalitarian, right? So it wants to abolish borders, it wants to abolish nations. It's all about class, and it's all about everyone being one soup of humanity. And these Islamists are smart. People don't know this. In the 79 Islamic Revolution in Iran, the Ayatollahs rallied all the students with communism. We're going to be together. And then the minute they overthrew the Shah, all their heads were cut off. That was the end of that.
And why do you think communism is kind of on the rise here inside the United States?
Fear. Americans are scared. They're scared of losing what they have. They're afraid of
Nick's mom has
minorities,
got
they're
it
afraid of
going
women's
on.
rights, women. So I think it's all fear-based. I am married into a family who escaped communism, and we are far from that. I think people like to throw around the word communism because they want to scare people so that they won't vote for other things because of fear of communism.
And right now, here in the biggest city of America, you have a mayor who is a member of the Democrat Socialists of America.
That's right.
What's the truth about this organization?
The truth is that if you actually look in Africa or Southeast Asia,
shit.
you will find some of the most horrifically totalitarian regimes have the word democratic in it. It turns out that putting the word democratic into something doesn't actually make it democratic. In fact, if it was democratic, you probably wouldn't have to call it that in the first place, right? So, the democratic socialists are just a form of communism trying to pretend that, oh, well, we're just like Norway. Well, first of all, Norway is, funny how they use Norway as an example, it's like 90% white. But second of all, Norway has a very high tax rate, despite having very high average income to begin with. What they are is they are just communists with that racial sort of animus. There is really no collectivist movement that is A, not Marxist, and B, and they admit this, they say we're trained Marxist, and B, there is no socialist movement that is not, the idea of a democratic socialist is comical, because socialism is about
That's
the
crazy.
seizure or control of private property.
Sorry, I gotta pay
You can't
attention.
vote your way out of rights. You can't, it's not democratic because you use the force of government to seize people's assets or to regulate their assets into non-existence. That's not democratic. That's autocratic.
And some of these ideas right now that are being pushed, like government grocery stores, or seizing the property of individuals, freezing the rent, abolishing prisons, defunding the police. What is that in reality?
Well, in reality,
The
that
volume up
is,
more?
there's this very strange sort of Olinsky, they call it ideal, where you basically you actively destabilize
better?
society in order to get people in their desperation and misery to turn to the same government that destabilized it for more help. The goal is to get people as dependent on this as possible. If you look at the most racist right-wing movements, the one thing they do is they kick people who they don't agree with out. Socialists don't want to kick anybody out. They want to force rich people that...
He's exactly right. If we find somebody in our ranks that's a piece of shit, that's no good, we don't allow them to stay. We get them the fuck out. But these socialists, these communists, these leftists, they don't give a fuck what you've done, what you stand for, as long as you agree with their ideology. They don't care if you're there. They don't care if you're involved. It's pathetic. They have no morals.
Don't agree to stay because they need their money to maintain the system. But all these things, I mean, think about the madness of this. If what that's run by government, go to your DMV. Does that run well? Now imagine everything run like the DMV. Are these states any better? Is it better to live like this?
We've talked to a lot of college-age students and people that work at colleges today, and they say this isn't really a rise of communism. They say it's more like left-leaning ideas.
Of course it's communism. You can try to name it anything you want. The distinctions are pathetically non-existent. You argue, oh no, we're not like a communist. We just want to vote you into having no property and like the government controlling everything, but it's not communist. The name is not what matters. What matters is what it
My
is.
DMV
And
is
what it
pretty
is
sick, yeah.
is excessive
go to the
government
DMV,
control over
actually.
every aspect of your life.
What do you guys think about capitalism?
These are really good questions. Yeah, this is crazy. I would say that capitalism, you know, in its true form, not awful, but right now we're currently in late stage capitalism and that's affecting everybody. The cost of a bagel should not be $7. The cost of a matcha should not be $10. And currently, you know, so much of America is living paycheck to paycheck on minimum wage, and minimum wage is no longer even covering the cost of life, like necessities like rent and groceries. And that's clear that capitalism isn't effective in our daily lives anymore.
And
So what other system would work?
I think, you know, what Mom Donnie is doing right now is really great.
Oh,
like
you
trying to make
fucking
things more
dumb.
accessible, trying to...
She just said Mom Dami's name when he was asking how we can better things. Mom Dami's name shouldn't be brought up when it comes to bettering things. He's trying to turn New York into a communist state. It's pathetic.
Encourage like rent stabilization, even making like, I know it hasn't happened yet, but like the bus fare is free. Little things like that, trying
He's
to
not
control
gonna be
the
able to
price of
make
groceries.
bus fare
Like,
free.
those are the
How the fuck are they gonna pay for the buses, for the maintenance, for the gas, for the electricity or whatever they run on? How are they gonna pay for all that? How are they gonna pay for the drivers? How are they gonna pay for dispatch? How are they gonna pay for anything if they make the bus rides free? Explain this to simple ass me, please. Explain it to simple ass me how that's gonna work.
things that we can do that are small but have a huge impact on people's daily lives.
And how come we're starting to see this rise of Democrat socialism? Or some people even say it's like the rise of communism.
Like, why are we seeing it?
Yeah, why do you think it's becoming a popular issue?
Oh, I mean, I think it's because people are finally like realizing that capitalism isn't working anymore, especially late stage capitalism. Like, people know that they're paying most of their paycheck on their rent and their groceries, and then they're no longer able to have a fun bagel or go out and get a drink with their friends because a beer is $12. Like, people see it in their daily lives and they're realizing that this is no longer working for them. And I also think that with the rise of the internet, people are able to see how this is working for...
Exactly, Wolf. These people don't understand basic economics. More immigrants equals less jobs, equals higher rent prices, equals higher prices all the way around.
Countries in Europe where they do have free healthcare and they do have
and you wait 10 fucking years to be seen by a specialist or a doctor. Like, free healthcare is not where you're... No. It's we don't need free healthcare. We already have... If you're poor, if you're homeless, if you're like destitute, or if you don't have a job, you can already get free healthcare. You can already go and get Medicaid or Medicare or whatever the fuck it's called, EBT, and free healthcare. Why do you want to give free healthcare to people that can afford to pay for their own healthcare? Why more drain on tax dollars? I don't understand. I don't understand their logic.
Grocery prices, low cost of living prices, and they're still able to afford being a human being.
Would you rather have capitalism or communism?
Well, communism as it is in the Marx Engels Communist Manifesto has never been implemented in society. They say in the Communist Manifesto that communism is primed for countries like England, America, and I think the Netherlands as it was, when they wrote it in the 1800s. So when they implemented it in Russia and China, they bypassed the sort of systems of industrialization needed to make communism effective.
Communism
and so
is never
I think
effective.
that we've never seen communism work. We've never been able to see it work in systems where it's applicable.
100 million.
And so I don't think I can answer that question correctly without fully seeing a system of communism in effect.
Would you like to see a fully communist America?
I think that there's so much in our system right now that would not allow for that, and I think that
we'll never allow
especially
communism
a quick switch
to take
would
over
not
this
work.
country,
But
bro.
I would like to see late stage capitalism kind of taken
We
back.
never
a little
tried
bit.
real communism.
Out of China, Soviet Union, Cuba, Venezuela,
shit.
what's been your favorite form of communism?
Well, again, like I said before, those aren't real forms of communism.
Why do you think oftentimes people flee communist countries like Venezuela, like Cuba, to come into a capitalist country like America?
Because it's not real communism. When you have those states in effect where it's not actual communism, it's more authoritarianism and totalitarianism.
Well, that's what
and these
communism
regimes
is, bro.
emerge.
Communism
also,
is definitely
by a byproduct of American
authoritarianism.
interventionism.
That's for sure.
People aren't happy because there's clear inequalities that exist. People are unable to live. And that's why they flee these countries. Again, not real communism. So I don't think it's fair to say that people are fleeing these communist countries when in reality it's a totally different state of affairs.
We talked to a lot of these younger folks over by NYU, and some of them said that they don't think there's such a thing as a rising communism.
Because they actually never lived it. They don't know what it's like. They're not... I'm not saying they're not educated. They're book educated.
Yeah, they don't think communism is even rising here. Yet the mayor of New York City has said that he's actively freezing the rents. He wants to have grocery stores. That's something you'd see in Cuba or Venezuela. Not something you'd see here inside the United States. We already have food stamps.
Well, he already said he was going to do free groceries. Now they're not free anymore. Now they're discounted. So
Also, we said about free MTA, mass transit. Can't do that either.
They also want to start taxing the rich even more. Do you think we should tax the rich more, or should we eliminate the fraud that's happening here inside the United States?
she'll eliminate the fraud in a lot of the programs that are not hitting who needs it. You know, there are-
People, the rich people have carried, and I'm only going to say New York, carried this state for a long time.
Yep.
Now it's just starting to see people are moving out. Companies, you got Chase that went down to Texas. You got half of the stock market just went down to Texas.
Yep.
So it's just black and white right there.
What do you think about the rise of communism here inside the United States?
Well, it's actually a reality, and not a lot of people take it seriously, I will say. For example, my background, right? I was born in Peru, South America, so I actually know how it is to live, because I was born in the 85, so I saw how bad it is and how it affects people actually, right? I came over here when I was very young. I served in the military, right? I'm a veteran, and I see what's happening. People think that they have everything for granted. They don't really appreciate what it costs to fight for freedom. When you get out of here, like when I was deployed, right, you see what the real world is.
I love those grunt style shirts.
People fighting
I
in
have a
different
couple of
countries
them,
just
but
for a
not
piece
the-
of food or
not the
water.
tank
So would you
tops.
say to those people that don't think what's going on is a rise of communism, would you say they're being misled?
Oh, absolutely. It's just that they don't care. And actually, when they see people like, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but the mayor we have, right? All the promises, he's telling people free
All the
buses,
bullshit
free this, free
promises.
that. Again, where's the money coming from? There's no money, And instead of that, now you're raising taxes, right? And all the people, wealthy people, that actually creates jobs to make more money.
Yeah, his
going
tank top
somewhere else.
logo tells me he's based.
Now where you
exactly.
where you get the money from?
Why do you think communism is on the rise, and what do you think about communism?
I think communism.
I could say right now in today's climate, 98% of the time, if you see somebody wearing an American flag or wearing an American pride shirt, like a shirt that with the American flag or with America or any kind of symbolism for this country and like positive symbolism, they're gonna be based. They're gonna be on the right. They're not gonna be leftist lunatics. You know what I mean? That's just because now the left, they say, oh, you have an American flag, you must be a fucking Nazi. You must be a white supremacist. You're wearing an American flag, you must be racist. And so they don't have pride in their country. They don't love where they live, and to me that's absolutely fucking pathetic. It's absolutely fucking pathetic. If you don't love this country, leave this country. We don't want you here. If you don't love this country, leave this country. It's that simple. Go find somewhere better in your view. You're never going to find anywhere as good as the United States of America. You're never going to go to another country and have the freedoms and the ability to make something of yourself the way that you do in America. It's just not going to happen. Their message is phobia. Phobia, Tommy. Yeah.
Communism sells. It's such a simple idea and message. It obviously doesn't work at all, but it's something that you could so easily say to a young, naive college person or young person in general. You can say everything should be free, and healthcare should be free, and universal, and education should be free.
It depends on what you're doing
but people
with
don't really
it.
understand the ramifications behind that statement. So, I mean,
If
this is nothing new.
If you have a Chinese-made American flag flying in front of your house, I think you could do better. But if you have a Chinese American made flag and you're going to do flag waves or you're going somewhere with it and something might happen, then it's fine. I don't know. That's a hard one. I wouldn't have a Chinese made one hanging in front of my house.
People have been trying to sell the idea of socialism and communism for years and years and years. I mean, obviously, in pre-Soviet Russia, you had communism. That's where a lot of it started. You had the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. And the Mensheviks were kind of like your mainstream run-of-the-mill Democrat. And then you had the Bolsheviks. This is way back in like the 1800s, 1900s. And the Bolsheviks came in. They were kind of like the DSA activists of today. And they said, well, the Mensheviks and the Democrats aren't being radical enough, and they aren't promising you all the things that we're promising you. We can give you free education and universal health care and all of these great things.
If you're not pro-America,
and then they never
America
deliver.
isn't
So
for you,
that happened back in the day. It's just like a recurring ideology. History is a big fat circle. And it's happening again because it's such an easy thing to sell, but it's never worked. Didn't work in Russia or the Soviet Union or China or Venezuela. Communism never works, but it's such an easy idea to try to convince people to vote others in with. So I hope that people read because those who know history do not repeat it. So we just have to teach kids why it doesn't work.
What does it mean to be a part of the DSA and be a Democrat socialist? What's that actually mean?
So DSA is the Democratic Socialists of America, and it's very, very scary. And the Democratic Socialists of America, they are using the Democratic wing of politics to Trojan horse all of their ideas through, but they're very different than mainstream Democrats. What these Democratic Socialists of America want to do is usher in communism and destroy America from within. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that because there are many DSA members who are online all over X, you can look it up, saying we want to take down the American empire from within. We want to destroy Western civilization. They're vastly different from the left. They want to destroy all of the institutions that we hold near and dear here in America. They basically want to root out everything that our founders worked so hard to build and start again, just like the Bolsheviks did way back in the day. Repeating cycle, it's terrible.
Interesting fact came out that Zora Mondani actually makes more than the vice president and people like Pete Hegseth.
She's very smart.
This is what's most hilarious to me because he is an immigrant from Uganda. He came here and is experiencing one of the greatest American dream success stories. So his parents were not from here.
He also says America was built on white supremacy.
He said that? Of course he did. They all said that. So he's an immigrant from Uganda, came here, and is making more money than the vice. Say that.
He also says America was built on white supremacy.
He said that? Of course he did. They all said that. But it's not.
Built on white supremacy.
He said that? Of course he did. They all said that. But it's not. So
on white supremacy.
He said that? Of course he did. They all said that. But it's not. So he's an immigrant from Uganda, came here, and is making more money than the vice president of the United States as the mayor of New York City, and he wants to tax you.
Oh, that was hella funny, bro.
But they never look inward. So the thing with these champagne socialists is they're always going to be looking to grab money from anybody but themselves, and they're going to enrich themselves in the process. So I'm not surprised at all that he's making more money than our vice president and many other high-ranking political officials. And what is Mamdani doing? He's the mayor of New York City. He's basically in charge of the subway systems, the trash cans, and keeping the streets clean. Somehow he's still managing to mess all of it up. But his role is not that intrusive, yet he's making so much money. And before this, his only other job
I would let her
was a
move
rapper.
in, but I bet my wife would make a big deal about it.
And we need to kick these socialists out of the country.
That was fucking funny, bro. Of course he did. Oh, shit. Oh, this is one. Maybe we can watch.
Folks, I'm currently being stopped by police for doing a story on master.
America's small businesses rely on TikTok to succeed, helping them attract more customers and drive more growth. 74% of businesses on TikTok say it's helped them scale, like Coco.
So, in a video before, you've stated, why should we hate Russia?
Do you believe that the invasion of the sovereign state of Ukraine is not enough to at least view them with anger and want to avoid a policy of appeasement through support of Ukraine?
First of all, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It's kind of
yeah,
nervous to be
what
here.
Russia did was wrong, without a doubt.
Yeah. So do you not believe that we should continue monetary support to Ukraine?
No, I mean, a lot of countries do things wrong. That doesn't mean we should be involved, right? I mean, Syria right now is killing a bunch of Christians. It's getting almost no press attention. There's a civil war right now in Africa that's getting almost no press attention. Not every conflict warrants American involvement. And right now, President Trump is trying to broker a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine, which is the right move. And our perspective as conservatives is as follows.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta call Zach. And I gotta get something to eat. But it was fun hanging out with you guys. I'll be live again tomorrow, and we'll watch a few videos. If you guys send me videos or post videos in my comments on my X, I'll save them, and we can watch videos that you send in for me to watch. Tommy, try Scott Lebedo. He's funny. I'll check him out. Scott Lebedo. Yeah, it's hard for me to watch Charlie. I miss him so much, dude. Yeah, Guido, it's really hard. I agree. All right, you guys. I love you.